little bit about me. I'm originally from the Bronx, New York, so like 10 minutes of walking distance from Yankee Stadium. And I was raised in the urban setting, and so my brother played basketball, so I used to travel with him around the city sometimes as a little sister. And I loved obviously the sport and injuries. So when I got injured running track, that's how my love from physical therapy came into play. So initially, my high school, I was in fashion industries, and my major was fashion merchandising. So that's the business aspect of the fashion world. You know, you learn how to buy and sell products and those types of things. And so we automatically had it into FIT if we wanted to. And but when I got injured, I started doing physical therapy after my surgery. And while everybody else was choosing Anne Klein and all these great big companies, I asked my director at the time, she was also the vice principal, if I could do my internship at a physical therapy clinic.
As a fashion student? I
Yes.
love it.
So as a fashion student, she looked at me like, "Oh my goodness." I was also a part of DECA. I didn't realize DECA is nationwide at the time, and you know everything was business related. So physical therapy and physical medicine and orthopedics was not anything close to what I was studying. And so she gave me the okay as long as I found my own internship site. And so the internship site I found was Joint Disease Hospital, which is a big orthopedic hospital in New York City. And I started there. And that's where the love of physical medicine started. One of the biggest things I see is the body's way of healing itself naturally without surgery. So, one of the reasons why I've taken my love for sports medicine and physical therapy, added massage therapy to it, because of the recovery your body is able to do if it is guided the right way. And if you're educated enough to know your muscles, the origin insertions, the actions, what it does and what it can do to correct it. And it's not easy. A lot of people choose surgery sometimes because it's easier, but they're not educated that 90% of the time you have to still do physical therapy afterwards. So why not try it first? Or why not try massage therapy first when, sometimes it's just scar tissue that you've had for years that just built up over time that just needs to be broken down, and that's why it's causing you pain. And trying those types of medicines to actually see whether this can direct you into the right path without taking medicine or surgery. So after high school, I went to junior college and majored in science because the head of department at the orthopedic internship, he told me that I would have to major in science. And that was like mind blowing to me because I did not pay attention to science in high school. So I'm like, what do you mean? And so literally for the first he's like, whether you choose physical therapy or athletic training, to go back a little bit, the reason why I chose athletic training over physical therapy while I was at the outpatient clinic at Joint Disease, one day a woman came in, she had a bun and she had leotards, and a whole bunch of other women followed behind her. And I'm like, who is this person? And she was actually the athletic trainer for the American Ballet. And they were coming there for their rehab. And I was like, well, what is this? How do you get into this? And that's the excitement of that. And so knowing, I watched my brother play basketball and seeing all of that. And then to see this woman come in and be not only a dancer, because she was a dancer, she was also an athletic trainer. So she knew what she needed to do for the dances, right? And so I just thought that was so cool. And I went, talked to her, asked him some questions, talked to my advisor, and he said, regardless which way you go, you need to major in science. And so that's what I did for the first 2 years in junior college, majored in science, A&P, biology, physics, all of that crazy stuff. And then I decided to go the athletic training route. And that's when I went to Xavier University for about 2.5 years because I needed the extra semester for all the internship hours that we had to have in order to finish the program. So the reason how massage came into it is because when I was working at Xavier as a student athletic trainer, we had a massage therapist come in. And so I'm used to seeing orthopedic doctors, sometimes chiropractors, but mostly our orthopedic doctor. And we were performing a rehab. We started having a massage therapist come in. And so I was like, well, what are you doing that we're not doing? And she informed me about breaking up scar tissue, recovery, stretching. And we've done stretching, but like, really specialized, stretching, focusing on the muscles. And I'm like, that made sense to me. Right. So once I graduated and I moved back, Xavier is in Cincinnati, Ohio. And so I didn't want to stay in Cincinnati. I'm a New Yorker. And so I moved back home to New York and I found another internship and at a physical therapy clinic. So while I was working there, well, it was a paid job. While I was working there, I started massage school and I was studying for my national certification. It was a lot going on at the same time. So passed the national certification, which is a big test for athletic trainers. At that time, it was 3 parts. Now these youngins, they only get 1 part. We had a written, we had a oral, which was the practical, and we also had a simulated. So if you answer one portion wrong in that simulated, the rest of the answers could be wrong. And so while I was doing all that, I was going to school for massage. And in New York, massage therapy is 1,800 hours. It's not just a certification, and you have to get licensed in the state of New York. And so I received another associate's degree. So I had an associate's, a bachelor, an associate's. And that's unheard of in other cities or states in regards to the amount of hours. New York is one of the highest hourly schools that you can have. And you have to not, once you finish the program, you still have to take their New York state license in order to practice. A lot of states like Arizona, once you finish the certification program, and I believe it's about 700, 750 hours. Some people go a little bit longer. They have extended programs, but the basic is 7 or 750 hours. You would get your certification, and you just have to, pay your licensing fee. New York, nope, you have to sit down and take a written exam and pass it, and then you can be a practitioner. It was awesome. So as soon as I finished my massage program, I started working at Columbia University. And I was in their sports medicine program. So I was an athletic trainer. So I worked from everything from football, baseball, soccer, women's lacrosse, you name it. I worked the sport. And so I was able to use the tools from, of course, sports medicine and then the massage. And so I was the athletic trainer, like, hey, Davonna, can you work on my hamstrings really quick, even if they weren't my athletes? And, depending on my time frame, I could, and sometimes I couldn't. But what I would see is the recovery of my athletes once I applied the massage along with the rehab. And while I was at Columbia, I received my master's in health education because they paid for it. And so I paid a little bit, like just book fees, but they paid majority of the education. And I said, why not? I might as well do it. So I received my master's degree in health education at Columbia Teachers College. And so putting all of that together led me into wanting to develop programs and health initiatives, i.e. start teaching and educating as well. Yes, that was like the light bulb that went on, like, oh, I love to develop programs. And I taught like probably a couple of classes at Columbia, meaning like their like physical education courses. And then because I was also in the program, they chose me as one of the people to be part of a small group of coordinators to develop a program, a health initiative for our athletes to kind of just keep them on a healthy lifestyle, because athletes, they eat whatever because they can in some points, but it was they because of my health background in the health education school, they wanted me to be a part of that health initiative. So the lack of education with with the schooling, they don't have as much education in the schooling because of the limited hours. And then I find that a lot of the therapists, they finish school and everybody wants to be an entrepreneur and start their own massage practice. And it's just not that easy. It's just not it's just not that easy. That aha moment, right? And so they're like, wow, I didn't think about that. Oh, well, thank you for that insight. And so I love to see and hear that I've helped them think a little bit past what their thoughts were or whoever they spoke to before. Because 90% of the times they either spoke to a fellow colleague or a friend or maybe a family member. But I love that when I help them and give them some additional advice, that it's above and beyond and it's actually an action item. So now they got to put it to action and I help hold them accountable to that. Well, my vision for the company, I would love to be that go-to. It's a lot of business coaches and consultants, right? And especially now, slowly, the massage industry is having more business consulting and coaches as well. But I would like to be that go-to startup business coach. So I would like all the startup businesses to come to me, especially in that 0 to 3 years is really important because if you can last past that, then you actually have something. But a lot of therapists, they don't last past that 0 to 3 years. And for the industry, I would love to help educate and let the therapists know that they're more than just massage therapists, but they're healthcare professionals and have them take actually this field seriously so that people or clients that they have take it more seriously and just not just always think of a spa, but actually think of, oh, I have an autoimmune disease. I can go to you because you perform lymphatic drainage massage. And I know, or if I read, or my doctor have told me lymphatic drainage massage can help with your immune system or with inflammation or those type of diseases. It can help reduce some of the pain and just not over just the pain but inflammation, not having to take as many medications and so forth. It's helping giving their own immune system a boost in what they need to do. Yes, they need to have massage therapy as a piece of their overall health and wellness. And preventative care, right? So a lot of people want to start, something after they've had actual injury or an issue, but if they can start first with it as a preventative measure, then it reduces their signs and symptoms tremendously. So one of the biggest things I want people to know about me and what I do and why I got into this field is because I love it. I absolutely love it. I love the body. My family members, they laugh at me if we see. Okay, I'm gonna tell you a quick story. So I went to Vegas with my girlfriend a couple of years ago and we went to the bodies exhibit. And I so geeked out on that body exhibit. It was so ridiculous. Like I was an absolute geek, like, oh my God, look at this. And you can see the nerves and you can see this muscle. And it was just amazing. And I think we spent 2 to 3 hours in there. people were passing us by. It was just so funny, but I love the body. I love what I do. I love the results, my clients get in regards to receiving the education from the coaching. I love the results my students receive when they actually have that aha moment in the classroom setting. I love to give back because it's just only me, and I'm not always going to be working on my regular clients forever. And so I like to build the network of students to go out there and reach the people who needs our help. And with all what's going on in this world with COVID, the pandemic, and people are stressed out and anxieties is high, and we're on video calls and sitting all day, and our hips are hurting, our necks are hurting, our backs are hurting, we're tight. It takes a village and a community of therapists to achieve this. And so that's what I want to give back. Okay, so as a woman of color, a Black woman, let me just start in the athletic training industry. So I became an athletic trainer back in the early 2000s, and it was not many African Americans, period, in the athletic training field. I knew of my brother once he went to college. He stayed in touch with his athletic trainer. And so he became like a mentor to me and family. And so he would tell me about other opportunities that I can do. But it was very far and few between. I remember being one of 5 African American at a symposium from one of the biggest orthopedic doctors in the world, talking about shoulder and elbow injuries for baseball. I was one of 5 and the only female. And when you're when you're in a venue like that and you see just a whole bunch of white Caucasian males, khakis and polo shirts, and you feel like, wow. And it was funny. It was a question that was posed in the general city, and I actually had a question amongst the questions. And when I asked my questions, you can see the surprise about like, oh, that was actually a good question, right? And I was young. I was like in my early 20s, 24, 25. Right? And a sea of white males ranging from, most of them was middle age at the time. And so I just had to fight my battles. I had to fight my battles, but I had to fight it smart. And it was important for me to be educated because they can't take your education away from you, right? And so in that fight, I always had to make sure that I knew what I was talking about. As for business, being in a city, I'm in Phoenix, well, Gilbert, Arizona, my business started, and to be known as the Black massage therapist, and I was told that by a couple of people, it was a struggle because for a long time, my web designer at the time, he wanted me to put my photo on my website, and I wouldn't. Wow. And he couldn't understand it. I didn't know how to tell him because, my fear at the time was that if they see that African American female, they would go to a different therapist or a different location. I've seen the change. I've seen the change. The tides has changed some. Mm-hmm. You still sometimes get shocked. You get the look. They don't know they're giving you the look, but we can see the look. But for the most part, the tides has changed. I think based off our Google reviews that we have now in my wellness center that I have as well, it overshadows the color stigma, which is great. Google also allows you to add that you're a Black business as one of their, I forgot what they call it on their platform, but it's one of their lists. Like you can say veterans owned, Black owned, woman owned, right, on your Google page. So it's turned, but we still have a long way to go. There's not that many Black massage therapists in the community of massage. I recently started a Facebook group for Black massage therapists, and it's grown. I started, I think, at the end of July or August. And so we're in November of 2020 when we're recording this. And so now we have over 270 people in the group. So I'm excited about that because I didn't know I didn't know what was out here. And it's nationwide. And it's nationwide. And the conversations that come up in the group, I do keep it private. I have another administrator with me, and we try to look into the history of the person to make sure they actually are a therapist, because some people just want to join because they're looking for a Black massage therapist, or they just want to know what we're talking about. I vet them out.
Got it.
I vet them out. I've had to block someone who was actually performing massage illegally, and I found out through another group member. So I really try to make sure that this group has the integrity, and they know that they can speak their truth without feeling judged and overshadowed. So I just hope that the group continue to grow, and that the community continue to feel empowered, and also help educate the African American community, because we're the highest in every illness. And so one of our missions is also to educate the African American community about health and wellness in the holistic route, and not just seeing it as massage as being rich or being privileged, and it's actually great for their health and well-being. Overall, I just hope that, people will come to 419 Education and Training to receive both the education and continuing education, whether it's live courses as I travel nationally. I'm starting to travel in different cities to teach courses, as well as some of the online classes that's provided, that's self-paced, so that they can log on and take the classes. I love to help small businesses, especially startup businesses, to get their feet off the ground the right way and not struggle like I struggled in the beginning. I wish I had a business coach in the beginning. I have one now, and I love her. She's been awesome for me. And I continue to grow and pivot in the business, because you have to. And I would just love to be the resource, and hope to and hope that small businesses and therapists who want to start their small business know it's important to have a coach. And you have to budget for it, and it's okay. And once you budget for it, you see that actually you're going to have the finances come back to you double and triple fold. And give me the opportunity. I would love to be your CE provider and your business consultant.